Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Elliot and welcome to This and That Reviews, where I take movies and I compare them to other movies that I have seen so that you get a better knowledge of the movies that I've seen without me having to review every single film. And then you can get spoilers without spoilers is kind of my goal. And it's so that you can compare like a movie to like a past movie. And I know a lot of reviewers don't like doing that, but sometimes I feel like that you can't really help that sometimes, and I feel like this is one of those times. And so this is How to Train Your Dragon. I saw this the same day that I watched Materialist, and I'm doing this review super late, but it is a new week, and new movies are going to come out this week. And so I thought that I should do this one and a couple of other movies that I've done as well, that I've seen since then as well. And so this is How to Train Your Dragon. This is probably going to be my shortest review on this channel. Because I usually have a lot of things to say about a lot of different movies that are original, and this being a remake of the original, and basically a shot-for-shot, line-for-line remake of the original, I don't have a lot to say. I think that it's good. I saw How to Train Your Dragon, the first one, like days before I went to go see this one, so that I could have it, well, one, because I've never seen it before, and two, so that I could have it very fresh in my mind when I went to go see this one. And it is literally like beat for beat, shot for shot, like, you know, when even like at the end of a scene transitioning, when it goes into a different scene. The one that I noticed it, and I was like, wow, this is like really one-to-one, was when Stoic, for the first time, when he's talking to his dad, when they do that first serious scene, and then I believe it cuts to them at like the treehouse, like them just trading stories, whatever. When it transfers into the treehouse scene, that sequence when they're just like trading stories, like as a group, as like a friend group, that transition I very distinctly remember from the cartoon, and it's the exact same transition from one scene to the next scene. And I was like, this is just a shot-for-shot remake. I'm gonna stop like trying to point out the differences. So if you like the original, I think you'll like this one. I think that it's the same thing. Now, I feel like a lot of people might say like, well, then if it's the same thing, then why make it? And that's now the argument, right? When Lilo and Stitch comes out and they try to do something different, everybody hates it because it should have been the original. It should have been the same thing. You're like, why did you mess it up? And so then, you know, live action, you know, right on time, live action How to Train Your Dragon comes out, and it's a shot-for-shot, line-for-line remake, and everybody's like, it's the same! Why did you even do this if you're not going to change anything? If it's the same thing, then I should just watch the original. You know, you can't please anybody. And if I wanted to nitpick one thing, and just the one thing, it's really just the one thing, I think it's a big thing, over, you know, like when you think about the course of the story, and I could like explode it into my mind if I keep thinking about it. But I didn't like that Mason Thames, the actor, decided, or maybe like the people doing the movie, opted to not give him the nerdy voice, even though he does all the things that Hiccup does, and he has all the lines that Hiccup has. And the first point that I noticed this in the movie, because it's a very funny line that I very distinctly remember laughing at when I watched the cartoon, and it is the line when it's to the opening scene. And so from this opening scene line, I couldn't buy into the character. The line is, maybe this will be a really long video. I don't know. As I'm now talking, it's 5 minutes in. The line is when Stoic's dad Stoic gets angry at Hiccup, and he says something to the effect of like, you know, like, you messed up everything, and the dragons are eating all of our stuff, and the dragons are, you know, like, they're taking away all of our stuff. And Hiccup's line is something to the effect of, well, you know, like, maybe we shouldn't, maybe we could stand to eat a little bit less, right? Now, the line is just the line. Now, that's not like a one-to-one line, but like you remember, I trust you remember that line. And if you don't, look up a side, watch that line and then go watch the movie. But it's very early on, and he says something to the effect of like, we could stand to eat a little bit less here. And when Hiccup does his voice, he is very noticeably like, he has that nerdy quality about him. He's a thinker. He doesn't like to fight. He invents things. He's an outcast, right? He has all of those things. He's smaller than everybody else, right? And so when he delivers this line, he's making a joke, and it's supposed to be funny. It's not like a serious statement. And he's just like, well, maybe we could stand to, lose a few pounds here. Here, you know what I'm saying? And when you do it like that, when you have that kind of cadence, it comes off as two things. One, funny. Two, nerdy, because that's his character. His character is awkward nerdiness incarnate. That's what his voice is. That's what his size is. That's what his recreational activities in this movie is. Like, he is inherently a nerd, right? He is not a chosen one. And in this movie, in this version of the movie, Mason Thames, the actor, plays this line completely serious. And he's like, well, maybe we could, he says the exact same line, and it's like, but he says it like directly, and there's no humor in it. It's not trying to be humorous. His dad says, they're stealing our food, and he's like, well, maybe we should lose a few pounds. And he says it very distinctly, like he is in the right, and not like he gets why he's wrong. And that change permeated throughout the rest of the movie for me. When I noticed that he's not trying to do a nerdy voice at all, at which point it changed his character for me from being a reluctant hero that doesn't want to be a hero. He just wants to do what's good, to a person who knows he's the main character and is trying to be the best. Even though he has the same character arc, the same lines, it is shot for shot, and he does the exact same things as original Hiccup in the original movie. That narrative, that voice difference and the delivery of that type of line throughout the rest of the movie, it made me look at him differently. When I saw the original How to Train Your Dragon, when I got to the end, it felt like an episode of something. Like I was just waiting for, okay, well, let's watch the next episode. This is a great pilot episode for a show. Let's see where this goes, right? And I realized that the reason why I thought that, I realized that after I saw this movie. The reason why I thought that of the original movie is because I thought, the reason why it felt like that was because it felt like the first movie is an origin story of Berk as a place. That there are all of these characters that, Astrid, you could look at it as a main character. Stoic, you could see as a main character. Hiccup, obviously. And Toothless. And, they're all kind of main characters in this movie. And for a very big part of the beginning of the movie, you could think that Astrid is the main character because she's the one that understands how to fight. But then you realize that Hiccup is the person that is trying to figure out how dragons and people can coexist. And that he is truly the main character. In the same way that Elphaba and Glinda are kind of the main characters of Wicked, but at the end, you realize that Elphaba is trying to she's trying to expose the wizard. And all of this is fake. And you realize that she is the main character, right? They're both kind of main characters, though. It's there are two ways to do this, but there's a better way, and there's not a great way, right? And I feel like when I got to the end of the original, it's because the Berk as an island and Berk as a people and as a community is the main character. It's the change that Berk goes through about going from this town who, tries to defend themselves from dragons to to a place where they can incorporate dragons. At which point, that's why I was so excited to see the second episode, right? In How to Train Your Dragon live action, Mason Thames as Hiccup is very much the main character. He's very much like, I'm gonna figure this out. Like, he just gives off that vibe. Now, again, he doesn't have changed lines. It's the delivery and it's the way that he looks. He doesn't look like a nerd that just doesn't really want to play football, but then ends up figuring out football in a sciencey kind of manner and starts to become good at it. He's a guy that you believe is a star quarterback that wants to be a NFL quarterback and is trying to prove his worth. That's how I looked at Mason Thames, the actor, not doing nerdy voice. That change, as insignificant as that sounds, I don't know if you've ever seen the Terminator deleted scene, but there was a Terminator deleted scene because one of the main complaints about that, or nitpicks of that movie, is that why would all of the robots from the future look like an Austrian bodybuilder? And so there's a deleted scene and it's great. And it's Arnold Schwarzenegger as Sergeant Candy or Captain Candy, something like that, something to that effect. Just look up like country Arnold Schwarzenegger or something. And you find out in a deleted scene that at the start of Cyberdyne, there was a guy that was a sergeant, and they built the model of the T-1000 or the T-800 or the T-600, I can't remember. They built the design after him because he's like this Austrian bodybuilder guy named, Sergeant Candy, right? But his voice is Arnold Schwarzenegger doing like a country accent, and he's just like, howdy y'all, like these robots are gonna be the future, and he has this like overly cartoony voice. And so they're watching this video and then they're like, I like the size of that man, but we got to do something about his voice. And it cuts to a Val Kilmer looking guy and they dub Arnold Schwarzenegger's voice and he's like, it will be done. And he has like it's actual Arnold Schwarzenegger's voice. And he says, we can do that. He has some line. And that's the difference. It's not a small difference to say that voice is different or that voice doesn't match this character. But if I want to take the movie on for what it is, if you're going to do this and you're going to have it be shot for shot and line for line, well then I just left How to Train Your Dragon live action knowing that Hiccup is the main character and I'm looking forward to watching Hiccup's rise to power. As opposed to how I felt watching the original, where it was a story about a community and about Burke and Burke's change to be better because of Hiccup and Astrid and Stoic and all of these people who are willing to change and make things better. That's my only difference. It didn't feel like a hero's journey movie, and that's what I liked about it. I liked that it was different. I like that it was about a person who doesn't really want to be a hero, a nerdy person who doesn't try to aspire to be a fighter, right? And like the live action one, I'm very sure that Hiccup could probably punch a dragon. Like I fully expect him to be super buff in the next movie and punch a dragon. But that's it. I think it's fine. I think if you like the original, I think you'll like this one. But it was just something to keep in mind when you watch it. I think that it does change a lot of the perception, like the feel of the movie. In the same way that if you casted like Margot Robbie as Astrid, and gave her the exact same lines, you would watch the movie and be like, oh, she's like a sexy fighter. She's like, she doesn't want people to think of her as just a sexy girl. She wants people to think that, that she's a tough Viking fighter. And the movie isn't saying that. But if you cast Margot Robbie and just do the same movie but with the same lines, that's your perception of the movie. That's what they're trying to say. And that's how I felt about him not doing nerdy voice. But maybe that's just me. I don't know.